gonna loosen up. Husband,
No, خلاص don't worry.
what did the angry chicken say?
Because?
No.
Fuck off?
Why?
Because? So Faris al-Khoury, it's a very touching story, and I use it with everyone who's trying, to show off like we are more patriotic, this religion is more patriotic. There's nothing called patriotic. There's the belief in the country, that you love the country, and your religion is with God. So Faris al-Khoury did two stories that I think they should be recorded, and I feel really bad when many people doesn't know Faris al-Khoury. So the first incident when General Gouraud was the head of the French troops in Syria, he went to the Umayyad Mosque, and he went to the minbar, and he said, if the French army is coming to Syria to protect Christians from Muslims, from this minbar, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah. And
the declaration of faith.
And actually, this was in the history of Syria, it was the biggest walk in Suq al-Hamidiyya, carrying Faris al-Khoury, everybody uniting behind him, because he showed the real example of love.
He showed unity amongst the Muslims and the Christians, saying, if you're going to come to invade Syria in the name of protecting us, well then consider us Muslim practically.
Exactly.
We don't need you to come here and fight and divide and kill our fellow countrymen who are of a different religion.
Exactly. And after 70 years, this was repeated with a small meeting that I told you about. And another story, when he went to the UN, there were like a meeting at the UN to discuss the Syrian case. So Faris al-Khoury entered, and he sat at the chair of the French ambassador. So the French ambassador came, was like, hello, Mr. Faris, this is my place. Can you go up? And Faris al-Khoury put a watch in front of him and ignored him completely. So the French ambassador started shouting, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 14 minutes. The security came, everybody was gathering. I mean, this guy is just looking at the watch and ignoring everybody. And of course, they couldn't touch him because they didn't think like they should use force, but it was getting out of control. After 20 minutes, he looked at the French ambassador like this. He said, Mr. Ambassador, I sat in your chair for 20 minutes and you were jumping. You sat in our country for 40 years and you don't give us the right to resist.
Wow.
So even I have goosebumps when I tell you the story right now, because really we need somebody like this who loves the country, then loves the country, then loves the country. Like, let's say, أكرم أباك أمك ثم أباك. Like, you're insisting on the mother than your father, and here you have to insist on being national, patriotic, then go for your religion. Because religion and state and politics, it doesn't mix, man.
Well, I think it's also a reflection of perhaps because for a long time, I mean, it has been for a very long time, generally the Muslims were in charge of Syria, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that kind of loyalty from the Christians of Syrian Christians was a reflection of the good relations they've had with Muslims and how the Muslims treated them as well, respecting their churches, protecting them, and just honoring those who follow the Christian path.
You know what was the biggest token that Christian gave to Muslims when they فتحوا Dimashq, when they opened Damascus? They give them Umayyad Mosque.
Yes, that's a beautiful story. And I believe, so the version I heard, and I'd love to hear from you, this is just something I heard sort of my father, is that basically the Christians actually allowed the Muslims to share the prayer space. And so the Muslims kept more and more praying, and then they sort of outnumbered the Christians where the Christians didn't have room, and it became like, hey, first we were welcoming you, but now you've sort of taken over. And so they took the Muslims to the judge, and the Muslim judge said, listen, Muslims, God will not accept prayer on a stolen land. You can't force it. You can't take this place by force. So work it out with the Christians. And so they made a deal where, okay, you can have the Umayyad Mosque, but you have to build for us churches around the mosque. So they built churches, and even to this day, you go to the Umayyad Mosque and you'll find churches outside the Umayyad Mosque.
And majority of the churches, like we have the oldest church actually is Hanania. It's the oldest underground church. So yeah, like when it comes to people living together in Syria.
Sidnaya is a great example. You mentioned it, right? I think they still speak Aramaic, the original
No,
language.
that's Ma'lula.
Malula, that's it.
And I speak that language,
You
by the
speak
way.
Aramaic. That's the original language of Jews. People don't know that,
Yeah.
you know? And so when I was young, very, you know, in like college days, my father took me to Malula and we visited the nuns and we saw some of them speaking the language of Aramaic. And again, that was the kind of respect we as Syrians were brought up. And it's definitely something I wish more Americans would know, and I wish their policy and their foreign policy would be more informed. And I truly wish we could see more sympathy amongst American Christians towards not just Syrian Christians, but also towards Palestinian Christians.
Of course.
Because unfortunately, they're funding the butcher. I mean, how many times now I've read stories of nuns being killed in churches by the Israelis?
To emphasize on this point, you know, they even convinced the audience that the Palestine is a Muslim cause.
You know?
First of all, it's a humanity cause. The second of all, no, it's if you go back to Nakba, when all started, and you look at the logos of the first emerging Palestinian resistance, you will find crosses on those.
Wow.
On those.
So some of the first fighters resisting Israel from the Nakba were Christians.
Because
I didn't know that.
It was not a religious fight. It was more of liberating the land. Because they were living together.
Well, I also think, and I appreciate the point saying it's not about religion, but I believe those principles are true reflections of religion. That was the true message of Jesus, peace be upon him. That was the true message of Muhammad, peace be upon him. It wasn't about what you call yourself. It was about how you live life. And you have to live life about peace with humanity. You can't honor the creator if you dishonor the creation.
Exactly.
So that is true religion. It isn't the label and the identity that we've made it, but it's rather how you interact with God's creation by being a source of peace, mercy, and justice to humanity. That was the message of Jesus, peace be upon him. It was the message of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
100%. 100%. I hope people get on top of their rage in Syria and focus on the good part.
100%.
And remember that we are all partners.
We have to be.
And accept each other and help each other and support each other. I am a believer in, I'm an Arabic, and nationalistic Arabic. If somebody get wounded in Morocco, my heart will hurt. And I would love the Arabs to come back together. You know, when I go to Europe, they tell me, you're an Arab, you're Muslim. I said, no, we're not. Being Arabic is just like a race, it's not a religion.
Right, correct.
So, unfortunately, we have to work on our media plans and our media platforms because they don't know. Till now, they think that we're sitting right now in Egypt.
Yeah.
Would you expect that Egypt have those kind of wide roads? They think that we're still.
They don't think.
They're still like I go to my work on a camel.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
you know
who
what?
thinks that?
They're also what they're surprised. Most Arabs in the U.S. are actually Christian. They think, you know.
You know why?
Yeah.
Okay, I will tell
and
you.
And only 25%, because people think Islam and Arab is synonymous. But in the whole world, only 25% of Muslims are Arab. And in America, the majority of Arabs are Christian. Again, people don't understand
this is something that also, look how the Americans played on this. So right now, for example, in the Syrian war, if you want to migrate to US, if you're a Christian, you have a green card to go.
You're good.
And the only way to do it is to say what? It's like you're being suppressed because
you're being persecuted because you're a Christian.
Exactly. So for you to be able to take this story and convince yourself to say to the embassy, for you to go to the land of dreams, you know, live the American dream. So you start believing the lie that you did. And then you communicate with your American fellows. And you tell them, I left this because Muslims.
Wow.
This is the thing.
That
so
is deep.
if you go right now as a Muslim, I want to go there. No, we don't want you.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're a Christian, 100%
Welcome.
come. But you have to say this story. This is the way to do it. And even all the,
that is
those
profound.
law firms that they do your paper for immigration. They tell you the story.
The template. And it affects, because I had a very devout Catholic friend. He's actually close to the Trump administration. I really respect him a lot. But he was feeding me this story that as a general rule, Christians are persecuted in Syria. And I'm like, bro, That's not the Syria I know. Like I grew up there as a child until I was 4 years old, but I would go back every summer and we just loved our Christian neighbors. We honored each other. We loved each other. He's like, no, but I have Syrian Christian friends in America and this is the story they're telling me. And it didn't make sense to me, but now hearing it from you, it makes sense.
That never exists. Whoever told you this he's saying just to convince you in a political
way for asylum,
or his like
for
exactly so
benefit.
that's not the case. And one of the main reasons that Syria got attacked is that kind of thing. They didn't want the world to experience that kind of secular type of living and
you know, you remind me of a beautiful verse in the Quran that you will find the closest people to you are those who say we are Christian, because they're humble and they love truth. And we need more of this. We need more of this
100%.
conversation. I really want to thank you for your hospitality tonight and just sharing with me so much insight.
It was a pleasure for me. I didn't feel the time, to be honest.
SubhanAllah, it flew.
Yeah.
Let's get Nicole in.
Hi.
You guys know Nicole. Nicole is famous for good reason.
So to hop in the conversation. Okay.
Give me this mic. Okay, both Haytham and Hassan, I want you both to interview her, talk to her. Well, Nicole, you tell us what you want to talk about. I was thinking you could talk about your charity work here in Egypt, maybe, or you can talk about whatever other subject.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How did you feel after 15 months of being a kind of blinded Western woman about what's happening about Palestine to where you are today, that you were advocating for the cause after 15 months? How do you see yourself?
Like you know, the priorities change completely. Like if before I was cherishing something in my life and I used to set in order which one are my priorities, career-wise, life-wise, everything. Right now it's like I'm thinking 2 times before I take a decision, because some things that have value for me in a very superficial way in my life right now, they literally don't have that value. I don't have the same. I'm still an ambitious woman and I like my work and I like what I do, but it's not that type of ambition that is superficial for materialistic things, or like I cannot grasp to compare my life, which is privileged because I'm not under the bombs. And even if I chose this digital battle to advocate and to try to teach my Western audience of what's happening in different ways, I came to a point where Haitham knows I'm at the same level as October last year. When I'm seeing the images, I didn't change. But you know what I learned in 15 months? That it's important to show people one video. I don't have to build a strategy for you to explain what's happening.
If one video doesn't do it for you,
if one video doesn't provoke that first feeling of being a human, I don't know how many chances you have to humanity, because after that it has to come in a very natural order, helping people or humanitarian work, advocating, speaking up, boycotting, doing something. And I see this, let's call it trend, because unfortunately it happened a lot as a trend. And I am extremely pissed on people with big platforms that took this as just a hashtag or just something. And we're seeing the world boiling. At some point, God forbid, this can reach to your door. And you don't have the right to ask for the advocacy of the world. So how it changed me, first of all, in my priorities, and I'm not talking about a personal level or a family level, but in what I cherish in life. Like nothing bad can happen to me that I don't compare it with the situation of the people in Palestine. And I'm saying I'm blessed, I'm privileged.
Yeah, that resonates. And I think 2 of the things that you said that really resonate is, number 1, I think the scary thing is it shows what governments are capable of getting away with. Like here, the world is seeing a genocide can unfold in real time, and the world can witness it in ways that perhaps they haven't seen it before, and so evidently clear. And the scary thing is basically the signal they've been given is you can get away with it. So that's a very scary thing. The second issue that really resonates is, I'm reminded of the tradition. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, the first to enter heaven are those who thank God in good times and bad times. And we've seen what bad times mean. And the message I have for Western people is like, you have not seen bad times. You want to look at bad times, look at the people that are burying their children, lost their limbs, lost their homes, and they're still thanking God, and they still have hope. And I think that reminds us of how temporary this life is. And it changes what you can find pleasure and what you can't. You realize it puts this world in perspective. And I think coming from a Protestant background or a Catholic background or a Muslim background, all of our faiths teach us that this isn't the real life. There's more to it. Because if this was the only life, God would not allow this to happen.
Definitely. And you know, I heard something I think was November last year, when I was seeing videos and I was trying to understand why this is happening. And of course, a natural reaction of a human to ask why God is allowing this. And then you realize that God can ask you the same question.
That's a very powerful response, and I love it.
Because God gave you all the means necessary to help the world and not inflict pain on each other.
Yep.
And gave you all the tools to protect and provide and take care of the people in need. So when people think, or when they are asking this question, why God is allowing, why don't you ask yourself that question? Because you're part of the system, you're voting. As a woman from the West, what's my responsibility politically speaking? Who am I voting for? What's the external politics of that politician? I have a lot of responsibility. And I think we live in a world where everybody is asleep and people have lack of curiosity because everything is a button away.
Yeah.
Nobody has curiosity and everybody is depressed, but they don't understand the privilege they're living in because they didn't went to the basic. They don't know how it is to provide actually food from the land. They don't know how it is to actually provide the shelter and build it. Everything is like a fast food life. And people don't have hunger and curiosity for information anymore because it's there. And that's where the devil entered, and the media and all the manipulation that happened, because they know that human beings are those little animals that can be enslaved very fast. And people just said...
Divide and conquer.
Exactly. And not only divide and conquer, but when people are telling me I cannot do anything about it, that means that might as well tattoo on your forehead, I'm a slave, because you accepted it. You accepted it to be manipulated. How hard it is for you to go right now and study a little bit, at least the history of your country. Because I'm not going to refer only to Europe, I'm a European woman, but let's say in the United States, if I ask them which one is the capital of one of my countries, Romania, they don't know. They have lack of curiosity because everything comes as fireworks and they want fast adrenaline, and after that they are bored and depressed with their lives. It's not how it used to be because everything is just ready. It's there. Take it. Don't think, we will think for you.
Yeah.
Everything, if you want to know, it's there. But when you want to know, you realize the manipulation that they are doing.
People, they prefer the...
True with information.
Yeah, do they want an inconvenient truth or a comfortable lie? And a lot, it's again, it goes back honestly to the example of the movie The Matrix, right? People prefer sometimes a comforting lie.
One time I was on a trip and I met this American dude, and he was, telling, like, accusing that Arabs are like depending on the Western world and they are good for nothing, and you guys only ride camels and everything. And I told him, sir, can I tell you an example? He said, what? Look, our countries were conquered by French, by British. What did they leave behind? Destruction. Nothing. We conquered Andalusia.
Yeah, we preserved everything.
What did we leave behind us? And people don't like, even when you go to Spain right now and you go on a touristic trip, the guide doesn't tell you the origin. It's like even they entered the politics into those small things.
Well, that's how you brainwash the masses.
And while we were kids, even the video games. You want to Counter-Strike, for example, that game. Terrorists, like...
It's the Arab guys.
Is the bad weapons. Counter-Strike, they have advantage. They have the snipers.
Right.
So they even like the maps, you know, it's all like Arabic
Middle
country.
Eastern Arabic.
So they started, you know, spoon feeding the nation that, you know, when it comes to radicalism, when it comes to being uneducated, it's all to the Arab region, which is not the case. She went to Syria in September, and you know how they are in real poverty and they need every single cent as an income. She went to Hamidiyya, Souq Hamidiyya, and she was like buying fast food, you know, to eat. Ah, you're from Spain? Welcome to Syria for free. What do you mean? What do you mean for free? Like you're poor. When we did several visits to Palestinian family that they lost Hassan everything. Everything. I went to that visit to give them positive energy. I came back
with
out
the
with
positive
energy. They put for me rice and this is what we can afford, share it with us. And you ask yourself, can you do it? This is the real exam. Can you do it? Everybody says that this is what my father taught me. Like we're all waiting for the judgment day, you know. But we don't realize that we have a judge every day in our life. Not like, I don't mean like by God, but your pillow is your judge. Can you sleep in a very calm way? This is the question. Are you satisfied with your day? Did you hurt someone? Did you steal money? Did you kill someone?
It's who are you when nobody's watching?
You have بل الإنسان
Nobody's watching.
بل الإنسان على نفسه بصيرة. Human being is a witness against his own self.
Exactly.
One of the interesting points also that actually you remind me of is it's very interesting because we were talking about visiting some of the ancient churches in Syria, and you go in Syria, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can find many very old churches, 1,000 years plus. They're still there, and not only that, but they're still being used in the religious tradition and the worship by the people of that faith. But if you travel in Europe, you won't find old mosques from the days of Andalusia. They were either destroyed or made into restaurants or other things. Europe, and I think this is not a reflection of the faith of Jesus, but really a reflection of the ethnocentrism that they had. It did not preserve the cultures. Politically, it had its own agenda. Whereas in Syria, again, you find an ancient masjid and an ancient church, and that reflects the level of respect and tolerance we had as Syrians with each other.
100%. We had still, like, maybe it's not reflective on our actions from our fellow Syrians. Not everybody's thinking this way right now because everybody's too much hurt, you know. But I can say one day we had this, and one day we will have this again. That big tolerance that we had between everybody. You know, one of the things that I really like about Syria compared to other Arabic nations that I experienced, I lived, that on our national ID, we don't have religion.
Right.
It doesn't differentiate us. Why would you have this detail?
And why is it the government's business to have it on your passport?
Exactly.
Or ID? It doesn't make sense.
This is something that would you put on my passport that I like, for example, Amr Diab music. This is something that I follow with myself, you know. It's not something that different, but yes, your eye color. It's important.
You can identify. You can't really change it unless some expensive surgery.
Exactly.
The religion's a choice. It can be changed, and it's not what should identify your national identity.
It's tolerance and acceptance and respect.
That's it.
It's respect. I don't see any problem with anyone around me as long as he wish peace and good for people around us. And whoever doesn't, I'm not gonna fight him. I'm gonna try to educate him.
This whole conversation goes completely against the manufactured narrative that's funded by tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in the West to pit Christians and Muslims against each other.
Yeah, they tried.
And who benefits from that?
Who is willing to go and steal the resources of that country to make you like the guys busy? There are two ways of invasions. The American administration, they used so many ways. They are very smart. They learned their lesson from Vietnam and Afghanistan and Iraq. And it was costly for them. They will never go into a direct invasion where they send troops because it cost them a lot. Boycott. Sanction them. Let them be poor. Right now, tell me what will be your scenario if you have like your kids at home and you cannot feed them. And then I come, tell you, $100, betray your country. But if this guy, he can provide food for his...
And he'll tell you.
He's like, go man, I'm not gonna do it. But when you come at my weakest point, this is, if you have a good faith, you will never do it. But unfortunately, we are humans. God gave us a choice to be good people.
That's the test.
He gave us the choice because Allah, He's powerful. He can, if He wanted us to be always good, He would.
Well, He had that. Those was the angels, and He chose to create
Exactly.
us weak and sinful because we have the choice,
Exactly.
and that gives our righteous deeds weight. Otherwise, if we had no choice, it would be worthless. And this is why, in our tradition, and I'd be interested in similar in the Christian tradition, but the righteous human being is more beloved to God than the angel, because the angel is sinless.
Yes.
Without desire, whereas the human has weakness and desire but still struggles against it.
Yeah. And from the 99 names of Allah, Al-Ghafur Ar-Rahim.
Yeah, the most forgiving, the most merciful.
Our God is He forgives. We can do sins, but not because we are allowed. But like, even if you do it, because He knows that how life is materialistic and we can fall into sins.
Right.
But whenever you wake up and you decide to be a good person,
He's ready to forgive. A sin that humbles you is better than a good deed that makes you arrogant. And arrogance, even self-righteous arrogance coming from religion, is amongst the worst of sins.
Yep.
If you, like me as a Muslim, I say I have a beard, I pray 5 times a day, and I look down on people, that arrogance is far worse than maybe the sins I'm judging them for.
Yeah, 100%.
But people sometimes, their ego becomes their religion. And then they use religion as a tool of ego.
As a tool. Look, as I told you, every single religion goes into a black time. Look at the Vatican and how they use the politics to control. The Pope in the 17th or 15th century, he decided to destroy cities just because he want to conquer. How could you be a representative of a very peaceful religion and do that? This is the same thing. Right now you see people speaking in the name of Allah and they know nothing. But they just use the branded kind of Islam that the Western world wants to say. For you right now, go to US and do a survey. Tell me what's the top thing when I tell you Islam. They will tell you beer, radicalism, blah, blah, blah. They will never tell you peace. They will never tell you good people. Why? Because this is what the Western world is trying to do. They are afraid from that kind of religion spreading, and they don't know how to control it due to the human rights rules that they're putting. How can you kick people outside of your country if you don't like them? And you are freedom, there's a freedom of speech. Create.
They demonize it. They
Exactly.
make it
Create something that will work, and people will go to it, and then fight it, and then highlight, do a spot. For example, when it comes to ISIS, are you gonna tell me with all the technology that we saw in the last 15 months of how they hunt people, they didn't see that kind of group being funded with 1,000 new cars? Would you allow it? How did the money go there? Those weapons were not, they didn't fall from the sky, somebody bought it. How did they reach there? So it was all planned for this. How would I have the reason to attack you? You create a threat. Iraq, weapon of mass destruction. Tony Blair is out, George Bush is out.
It's interesting. There's Georgetown's Bridge Initiative. They did a study and they basically published that Islamophobia is not the natural reaction to wrong actions done by people who call themselves Muslims, because there's people who do wrong things in the name of every group. Rather, it's politicians who don't have real solutions to the real problems that the country is facing, so they scapegoat someone they can easily target. And I really do believe a lot of that is funded and supported to benefit Zionist Israeli interests.
Yeah, 100%.
That's who benefits from it. That's who benefits from putting Christians and Muslims at odds with each other. And who pays for it? In the West, it's not even just the Muslim. I mean, obviously Muslims are paying for it, and Palestinians are paying for it with their, and Christians are paying for it with their blood in Palestine. But even the American people as a whole are paying for it, because they're allowing that fear and hatred to enable them to give up billions of their tax dollars to fund Israel in its persecution of Palestinian Muslims and Christians, with no benefit to America whatsoever.
But they have a very strong support from the evangelical Christians.
They do.
So that's the problem. I think it's a 30%. We're talking a lot in America. And the funny part about it, and right now I'm gonna speak as a Christian because I'm Orthodox, he's Catholic. The evangelical Christians for us are like the embarrassment of Christianity, basically.
Wow.
Yes, definitely, and I'm not afraid at all to take care of their feelings.
They're throwing all the other Christians, especially in the Middle East, under the bus.
Definitely, and if you ask them what is the sole core of you supporting so much Zionism, because they want Messiah to come back. Okay, so if you want Messiah to come back to the Promised Land, that means that if the Jews or any type of religion they don't convert to Christianity, they will go to hell. So imagine if you're anti-Semite without knowing and blindly, like you're doing something wrong, and you know that the Christians and the Muslims and everybody, all the humans are being killed in the name of Zionism, and you're supporting that and you're choosing that to be your ally just because somehow it serves your agenda. Isn't that something radicalism in religion?
It is radicalism.
Definitely.
And it's disrespecting God.
Definitely, and it's more than any other type of characterization of radicalism. For me, the evangelical Christians are the worst, are ashamed, and they should know this. I mean, actually, if you put them on the table and ask them about the Bible and actually read about the religion that they supposedly respect, they should feel ashamed of themselves.
They should, because it's inconsistent completely with the teachings of Jesus, peace be upon him. And the other issue is you can't force the hand of God. You can't engage in injustice thinking that it's going to bring about a prophecy that's going to bring out the end of times. I mean, it's very problematic, but my hope is that the evangelical Christians will start to listen to Christians from the Middle East and Christians that have seen a different perspective and really more align their teachings and their beliefs with the teachings of Jesus, peace be upon him, because he would not stand with what's happening now. 40,000 Palestinian children, if not many more, killed in cold blood with our weapons. It's antithetical to who Jesus was and what he taught.
Exactly. Basically, they're against their own religion, because the base of any type of Christian, evangelical Christians, Orthodox Christian, Catholic, whatever, Protestant, the base is the same. Why don't you respect the base?
Go back to the base.
Why do you have to be manipulated from the outside and you're not seeing that actually the devil is tempting you to support it and you're doing hell on earth?
Literally.
Like in what
They've been
world?
deceived by the devil.
Exactly. In what world do you celebrate Christmas? The birth of Jesus Christ, in the land of Jesus Christ, while kids at the age of Jesus Christ, they're being butchered. Like in what world you're calling yourself a Christian? And I would really love to emphasize from behalf of all the Christians of the world, the embarrassment of Christianity are the evangelical Christians who are supporting Zionism. Definitely. And I have no problem in hurting their feelings because this is the society that we're living in. Cancel everybody, don't speak about this, I am too sensitive. You're sensitive? You're sensitive while your advocacy for Zionism is killing innocent people. And you're pretending like you're some kind of pious and good Christian. You're not. You're just a hypocrite who, for your religion, is just a means to an end. For Messiah to come back. Do you think when Jesus will come back, if that's what you think, he's going to come back, he's going to tell you, oh, what did you advocate for me to come back? Well, for kids to die in Palestine and innocent people and stealing land and butchering people and genocide. Do you think you're entering heaven? Like they don't realize it's so simple to just sit down and at least read the book that is representing your religion, which is the Bible, and you'll find the answers there.
It's clear.
At least. Or at least use your logic, because even if I'm an atheist, which I'm not, but let's say I'm an atheist, if I have to use my logic, why am I an evangelical Christian who's supporting Zionism? It doesn't make sense at all. It's not even about religion, it's about having common sense, and they don't. That's why, for the third time, the embarrassment of Christianity are the evangelical Christians who support Zionism.
100%, and I hope they wake up to it. But that's why we need more of these conversations, man. I'm really glad that we got to meet, and I really want to thank Ahmed for making this happen, man, bringing us all together. My man, mashallah.
Our best friend.
Now say something.
Something. No, you guys hit it all on the head. I love being behind the camera during conversations like this because I get to like hyper focus on what you're saying, just like you are right now with the camera. Focus on my face, keeping me in focus, and I get to do that with brilliant people sharing wisdom and knowledge, and so.
And me too, while you're at it.
And and I was telling someone earlier that I'm blessed and privileged that, inshallah, for the rest of my life, I get to do this. I get to learn and make a living doing that, and then share it with people. And I get to learn about so many different subjects. So, yeah, I'm very grateful, Nicole, that you and Haytham came to see us today. And I was glad to introduce you to my good friend and my brother Hassan Shibli, and we enjoyed this conversation, and I'm very excited to share it.
Egypt, by the way. He's gonna move.
We can't lose Ahmed. I need Ahmed.
I hope to move to Egypt for at least a couple months. I can't wait to show people the footage I took. I mean, we just drove on the street. We've only been here for 24 hours, but it's a beautiful city and it's a beautiful country with a beautiful people. So I'd like to spend a couple of months here and learn how to speak Arabic properly, inshallah. So
Allah, you got to do it.
I look forward to it.
One thing I want to add real quick is with both of you. I mean, I was just so touched to learn about the incredible charitable work that you guys are doing to help our brothers and sisters, both Muslim and Christian, in Gaza and in Palestine. And I think the majority of them are actually Muslim that are receiving your help. And I just presumed you were Muslim, you know, you're Syrian and doing so much. And then
I'm a human.
And when I heard, man, you're doing more for our brothers and sisters than many Muslims are. I mean, it really touched my heart. I think it's very inspirational, and I think a lot of people have to really learn from the example you guys have set. And I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, brother.
It was it was a pleasure spending time with you, and I really felt really happy to spend this time. And thank you for everything that you're doing. You're actually on the front line. The front line is not Palestine. The front line is the West. This is the region where all the kind of policies are being written, and the plan for our even the future is being written there. So the front line is the Western world, because you guys have democracy, correct? Use it.
Right.
And if you
We
don't
have
have democracy,
responsibility
then let the world know that you live in a fake democracy.
100%. No, it's deep and profound, and we got to continue these collaborations together, inshallah, to better serve humanity, and in doing so, really follow the way of Jesus and Muhammad, peace be upon them.
100%. I agree with you. It was nice.
Habib, God bless you, brother.
If you liked this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, please consider becoming a paid subscriber on our website, where we post exclusive documentaries, podcasts, and videos just like this one about geopolitics, current events, and history. We built this website because of continued censorship of our videos, so please do consider becoming a member. Until next time.